Hello, and welcome to GridMaster, a rhythm-based dance-off game where you can compete with a friend on a Dance Dance Revolution-like synthwave grid to see who has the best moves. This game utilizes projection onto covered step pads to allow players to directly stomp onto the play screen for seamless gameplay. Now, let's get into the game. The game itself is a two-player dance-off where players can pick one of 4 song speeds, akin to difficulty. While playing, one player will be sending tiles by stepping on the buttons to the beat, while the other player will be trying to break them when underfoot. Halfway through the song, the player roles will switch, and at the end of each round, a Gridmaster is declared. The game is styled, both in sight and sound, to the synthwave movement. All songs included are synthwave, and all graphics were custom made to fit the vibe. The controller is an ESP32 module microcontroller, connected to 8 custom step pads. Each of these step pads is a pair of book covers, sourced from damaged books, covered with copper tape connected to wires which run out. The 2 covers are separated by double-sided sticky tape, so that when pressure is applied, the 2 faces touch and the electrical connection is closed. These pads are essentially large-scale buttons, connecting with 3.5mm audio cables back to the central board. The microcontroller then collects and sends the button information via serial communication into Unity, which takes the appropriate gameplay actions. Finally, all of the step pads are covered by a white tarp, which the game visuals are then projected onto, creating a single interactive area for the users to focus their attention on and to play with. What sets this game apart from DDR and other rhythm-based dance games is also the reason for its creation: interactivity. From the beginning of development, the principal mission was to engage people of all ages in play, trying to emulate the feeling of hopscotch or other such analog games. The linear layout and scale of the step pads makes gameplay an involved process, evoking feelings of childhood play. Furthermore, by projecting the screen onto the tarp and covering the step pads, the gameplay is seamless. Instead of trying to match what you're doing with your feet to what you see on a screen, the screen is the controller, and you intuitively step where you look. Furthermore, the gameplay itself is different. Rather than dancing in a predetermined pattern against a computer, perhaps competing with a friend for a high score, GridMaster has players dancing their own patterns to send over to their friends. Thus, the game is shaped and determined by the player's actions. Finally, the game is intended as an interactive installation with a high throughput. The floor setup can be laid out and projected from anywhere with enough floor space, and the scale, bright visuals, and fun music invite spectating. Finally, by compartmentalizing the gameplay into individual songs, there are natural points for players to take turns with other pairs. GridMaster may seem, at first, inaccessible, but for players who do not wish to, or are otherwise unable to play the game by jumping, 2 alternatives do exist. The first is a pair of collapsible hiking poles with tennis balls on the ends. These can be used as makeshift legs, allowing users to play with their arms while still capturing the grandiose physicality of the game's design. If this is not an option, a handheld controller exists, which consists of 4 buttons in a line, mimicking the board. These can be pressed in lieu of step pads, producing the same gameplay without the physical demands. With these measures, I've sought to make the thrill of being the Gridmaster open to as many people as possible. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon, competing to be the next Gridmaster.